Have you ever wondered why your mind feels like it's constantly racing, jumping between worries about tomorrow and regrets from yesterday? What if I told you that most of your suffering comes from this simple fact? You're living everywhere except where life actually happens, right here, right now. Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now isn't just another self help book sitting on your shelf. It's a complete guide to ending the mental chaos that keeps you trapped in cycles of anxiety, stress, and dissatisfaction. The book's central message is revolutionary yet simple. Real life only exists in this present moment. Everything else is just mental noise. Today, we are going to break down this life changing book in 30 minutes. By the end, you'll understand why millions of people consider this book a spiritual awakening, and more importantly, you'll have practical tools to start experiencing that peace and clarity for yourself. So let's dive deep into what might be the most important half hour you spend this week. The first thing Tolle wants you to understand is probably the most shocking. You are not your mind. Think about that for a moment. Right now, as you are listening to this, there's a voice in your head commenting, analyzing, maybe even disagreeing with what I'm saying. That voice feels like you, doesn't it? But here's the thing, if you can observe that voice, then who's doing the observing? Your mind is like a tool, similar to your smartphone. It's incredibly useful when you need it. But imagine if your phone never stopped ringing, never stopped sending notifications, never gave you a moment of peace. That's what most people's minds are like. Constantly chattering, replaying conversations from last week, planning scenarios that may never happen, judging everything and everyone around them. The mind loves to live in psychological time. It's either dragging you back to the past, making you relive embarrassing moments or past hurts, or it's pulling you into the future, creating anxiety about things that haven't happened yet. But here's what's fascinating, the mind can never actually take you to the past or future. It can only create thoughts about them in the present moment. When you start observing your thoughts, instead of being lost in them, something magical happens. You realize there's a space between you and your thoughts. You are the awareness that notices the thinking, not the thinking itself. This awareness is always calm, always present, always at peace. It's like discovering you've been watching a movie your whole life and suddenly realizing you're not the character on screen, you're the one watching. This brings us to one of the most important concepts in the book, the ego. Now, when Tolle talks about ego, he's not talking about confidence or self-esteem. He's talking about the false identity that your mind creates and then desperately tries to protect and enhance. Your ego is like a character you've been playing for so long that you've forgotten it's just a role. This character is built from your thoughts about yourself, your achievements, your possessions, your relationships, your beliefs, your nationality, your job title. The ego constantly compares itself to others, always trying to prove it's better, smarter, more successful, more spiritual, more right. Here's the tricky part. The ego needs problems to survive. It feeds on drama, conflict, and suffering because these things make it feel important and real. That's why you might notice that even when things are going well in your life, your mind will find something to worry about or complain about. The ego is like a parasite that needs negativity to stay alive.
The ego also loves being right. It would rather be right than happy. You've probably experienced this, getting into arguments where you know continuing the fight will only make things worse, but you can't let go because admitting you're wrong feels like death to the ego. And in a way, it is. When you let go of the need to be right, you're letting go of a part of that false identity. But here's what's beautiful. Letting go of ego doesn't make you weak or passive. Actually, it makes you incredibly strong because you're no longer wasting energy defending an imaginary self. You become like water, flexible, powerful, and able to flow around obstacles instead of fighting them. Now let's talk about the present moment itself, the very foundation of everything Tolle teaches. The present moment is literally all you have. The past exists only as memory traces in your brain right now. The future exists only as imagination and projection happening right now. Strip away the mental stories about past and future, and what's left? This moment, this breath, this awareness. Most people resist the present moment without even realizing it. They're constantly thinking, this shouldn't be happening, or I wish things were different, or if only I had more money, a better job, a different partner, then I'd be happy. This resistance to what is creates what Tolle calls psychological time, the mental habit of using the present moment as a means to get to some imaginary better future. But here's the paradox. The future you're trying to get to can only be experienced as a present moment. So if you can't be present now, you won't be able to be present then either. You'll just keep postponing your life, always waiting for the right conditions to finally be at peace. Acceptance is the key to ending this resistance. And acceptance doesn't mean you have to like what's happening or become passive. It means you stop fighting reality in your head. You stop wasting energy on the internal argument about how things should be different. When you accept what is, you free up all that energy to actually respond effectively to the situation. This leads us to another crucial concept, the pain body. Tolle describes the pain body as accumulated emotional pain that lives inside you like a separate entity. It's made up of all the hurt, anger, sadness, and trauma you've experienced but never fully processed and released. The pain body is like an emotional parasite. It feeds on negative emotions and actually seeks out situations that will trigger more pain. Have you ever noticed how sometimes you seem to attract the same types of problems or difficult people over and over again? That might be your pain body unconsciously creating situations where it can feed. The pain body can lie dormant for weeks or months and then suddenly get triggered by something. A comment from your partner, a stressful situation at work, even a sad movie. When it's active, it takes over your thinking and emotions. You might find yourself being unreasonably angry or falling into deep depression or picking fights for no good reason. The key to dealing with the pain body is not to fight it or try to get rid of it, but to become aware of it. When you shine the light of consciousness on the pain body, it begins to dissolve. It's like a shadow that disappears when you turn on the light. The pain body can only survive in unconsciousness. So how do you actually access this state of presence that Tolle talks about? How do you step out of the mental noise and into the peace of the now? The good news is that presence is not something you have to create or achieve. It's your natural state. You just have to stop covering it up with mental activity. One of the simplest ways to access presence is through your breath. Your breath is always happening in the present moment. When you focus your attention on breathing, you're automatically brought into the now. You don't have to control your breath or breathe in any special way. Just notice it. Feel the air coming in and going out. Another powerful technique is to feel your inner body. Right now, can you feel the aliveness inside your hands? The subtle energy in your arms, your chest, your legs? This inner body awareness immediately connects you to the present moment and quiets the mind. It's like tuning into a different frequency. Instead of noisy mental radio station, you're tuning into the peaceful energy station. You can also practice what Eckhart Tolle calls watching the thinker. Throughout the day, just notice your thoughts without getting involved in them. Imagine you're sitting by a river watching leaves float by. The leaves are your thoughts. You don't have to grab them or follow them downstream. Just watch them pass. Tolle also talks about the inner body, the energy field that animates your physical form. When you're completely lost in mental activity, you lose touch with this inner aliveness. But when you bring your attention to the energy inside your body, something beautiful happens. The mind naturally becomes quiet and you feel more grounded, more present, more alive. This inner body awareness is particularly powerful because it connects you directly to what Tolle calls the unmanifested, the source of all life. It's like plugging into the main power source instead of running on batteries. You feel energized but calm, alert but relaxed. Now you might be wondering about enlightenment. Is it some mystical state that only special people can achieve? Tolle says no. Enlightenment is simply the end of suffering through identification with thought. It's not about having special experiences or developing psychic powers. It's about recognizing what you truly are, beyond the mind-made self. Enlightenment is not something you become, it's something you realize you already are. It's like cleaning the dust off a mirror. The mirror's ability to reflect was always there. It just needed to be uncovered. Your true nature, pure awareness, unconditional peace, is always present. It's just been covered up by mental noise. The beautiful thing is that enlightenment is not an all or nothing state. Every moment of presence, every time you catch yourself lost in thought and return to the now, every instance of accepting what is instead of resisting it, these are all glimpses of enlightenment. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. When it comes to relationships, presence changes everything. Most relationship problems come from two egos trying to use each other to feel better about themselves. One person's ego wants to be right, the other person's ego wants to be right, and conflict is inevitable. But when you bring presence to your relationships, something magical happens. Instead of listening to respond or defend, you actually hear what the other person is saying. Instead of trying to change them, you accept them as they are. Instead of making them responsible for your happiness, you take responsibility for your own inner state. Love, Tolle says, can only exist in the present moment. When you're truly present with someone, without agenda, without trying to get something from them, that's when real connection happens. That's when you see beyond their ego to their true essence, and they feel truly seen and accepted.
This doesn't mean you become a doormat or accept abusive behavior. Presence actually makes you more discerning, not less. But you respond from a place of clarity and strength rather than reactive emotion. So, how do you make this practical in daily life? How do you remember to be present when you're stuck in traffic, dealing with difficult people, or facing challenging situations? The key is to start small and be consistent. Begin by choosing one regular activity as your presence practice. Maybe it's brushing your teeth, washing dishes, or walking to your car. During this activity, bring your full attention to what you're doing. Feel the sensations, notice the movements, stay present with the experience. Throughout the day, use what Toll calls portal moments, brief pauses where you return to presence. When you're waiting for an elevator, instead of immediately checking your phone, take a conscious breath. When you're walking from one room to another, feel your feet touching the ground. These small moments add up to create a more present way of living. Also, practice accepting small annoyances without resistance. When you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting frustrated, see if you can accept the situation completely. When someone cuts in front of you in line, notice the urge to get angry and choose peace instead. These are like training exercises for bigger challenges. Remember, the goal isn't to never have thoughts or emotions. The goal is not to be completely identified with them. Thoughts and emotions will come and go like weather patterns. You are the sky, vast, unchanging, always at peace, not the temporary clouds passing through. As we wrap up this journey through the power of now, let's remember the core message that can transform your life. You are not your mind, you are not your ego, you are not your story about yourself. You are the aware presence that observes all of these things. And this aware presence is always at peace, always whole, always free. The present moment is not just where life happens, it's where peace, joy, and love are always available. Not tomorrow when you achieve your goals, not next year when you have more money, not when you find the perfect relationship. Right now, in this moment, as you are. Happiness isn't something you achieve through external circumstances. It's something you uncover by removing the mental barriers that hide your natural state of peace. Every time you choose presence over mental noise, acceptance over resistance, awareness over unconsciousness, you're choosing freedom. The power of now isn't just a nice concept. It's the most practical thing you can learn. Because this moment, right now, is all you ever truly have. And when you learn to be fully here, you discover that this moment is enough. You are enough. Life is enough. Start today. Start now. The present moment is waiting for you, and it has been waiting your whole life.